Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit Podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. Right. Hello, everyone. Dr. Mark T. Wade here, founder of Virtual Summit Software, your host on the Virtual Summit Podcast. I am extremely excited for what we have coming to you right now, something we've never done before, at least not in this format or under these circumstances, and something I'm very excited to share with everybody today. We are celebrating, as of May 2022, we are celebrating 3 years hosting our Virtual Summit Podcast. Woo! Congratulations. Congratulations to us. Congratulations to all of the many summit hosts we've had. We've had over 237 episodes over the last 3 years, over 100,000 downloads, over 145-star reviews, and endless connections and fun time. So I wanted to do something special. And I got to give a shout out to my team over there, Lace in particular. She said, Dr. Mark, we should do something different. We should do something fun to celebrate this. Instead of just announcing it and giving away maybe a freebie, let's bring together some amazing summit hosts, some expert summit hosts from a variety of different industries and niches. Let's have them share some insights and just highlight some important aspects of virtual summits, almost like a mega podcast interview with multiple people here. And I said, that would be an amazing opportunity. And I reached out to some of my favorite people in the world, some amazing business entrepreneurs, healthcare professionals, and of course, summit hosts, as well as many other attributes that they've done. We'll mention that here in a second. I said, will you do me a favor? Will you come to my community and help me share some insights, some tips, some tools, some lessons learned, because we all have lessons learned from your virtual summits. And most of us have hosted a variety of virtual summits. So we've learned lots of different lessons with that being said. Now, what's really cool about this, we are streaming live right now into our Facebook community over at Virtual Summit Strategies. But we're also, if you're probably listening to this on the podcast, we're also using this as one of our podcast episodes. So you're probably listening to this on the Virtual Summit Podcast, and we will be releasing this onto our YouTube version of our podcast as well a few months following. Now, with that being said, I want to spend as much time as possible. We got about 40 minutes to jump in and get some insights from these expert summit hosts. Now, before we jump into that, I just want to briefly introduce some of our amazing panelists here that are going to be with us. We've got Kimberly Crow, who's a best-selling author, public speaker, audio producer, and is the founder of Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel and Speakers Playhouse. We got any speakers in the group here? Yes, we do. Her superpower is helping you turn dreams into reality. So we're going to hear a little bit more about Kimberly in just a moment. We also have the amazing Tina Dahman with us, founder of Online Course Talks, the Coach Marketing Hub, and is a contributor to Entrepreneurs Magazine. She helps coaches, influencers, and purpose-driven entrepreneurs gain more influence in their space. She was also featured on our Summit Talk Summit. We really enjoyed having you there with us. Tina, thanks for being here with us. We also have Michael Neely, who is a mentor and business strategist for visionary solopreneurs. He's the founder of the Authority Academy. Michael trains and supports heart-centered entrepreneurs in professional speaking, virtual summits, getting published, and designing and hosting their own podcasts to massively grow their business and expand their audience. Now, he was featured on episode 28 of the Virtual Summit Podcast, way back there. Michael was one of our first guests, and he was also featured on our Summit Talks Summit. And he's also a knight in shining armor. I'll let you explain that a little bit later, Michael. We also have Dr. Krista, the amazing Dr. Krista Burns, who's the founder of the American Posture Institute, author of the textbook, The Posture Principles, and is a TEDx speaker. She has 2 doctorate degrees and is leading the charge against postural decline. Everybody sit up a little straighter now. She has been featured on media, including ABC, NBC, Fox News Radio, Global Women Magazine, and prestigious stages such as the World Congress of Neurology and Neurologic Disorders. That's hard to get out of my mouth right there. And the World Congress of Falls and Postural Stability. She was also recognized as a top 100 doctor by the Global Summits Institute. Dr. Krista was also featured on our Summit Talk Summit, which I know has got got to be one of her highest, accolades there. And she was also the only person featured more than 2 times on the Virtual Summit podcast. You can check her out at episode 52, 110, and 148.
Virtual Summit's software makes hosting a summit easier than ever. The only software in the world designed specifically for hosting a summit lets you set up a summit in a matter of hours with no tech skill or team needed. You can try out the Virtual Summit's software free at virtualsummits.com. But hurry, this is a limited offer.
Now, we've got an amazing panel here of some incredible entrepreneurs, business owners, and of course, summit hosts. Now, I know I've just kind of scratched the surface of what you do, but what I would love is for each of us, and I'll kind of go through and point who go next, but for each of you to just briefly expand on maybe anything I missed about what you're doing and potentially even why you love summits and what was your most recent summit. Why don't we go ahead and start off with Michael?
Okay, so first of all, I should explain the knight in shining armor piece. I used to joust and sword fight for a living, did that for 12 years, both with Medieval Times Dinner and Tournament and then the New York Renaissance Fair. So get that out of the way a lifetime ago. But speaking of summits, though, I'm actually in the middle of one right now. I'm about to interview you, Mark, right after this for my podcast Super Summit coming up, which is geared for helping podcasters to get launched, grow their audience, monetize their shows. And of course, I think summits is an ideal way to do that. So who better to come on and represent summits than you? So that's what I'm up to.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate that. I love that every time. Knight in shining armor. He's got some pictures on his website. I highly recommend going and checking those out. Tina, let's go ahead and have you expand a little bit on what you do, why you love summits, how it relates, and one of your most recent summits.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Tina Dahmen. I'm an online course coach. I help people to get to 10K months organically to sell their online courses or high ticket offers online. And my recent summit is called Online Course Talks. I've learned a ton from Mark, from your free content, from your podcast. I've learned a lot. So thank you so much for putting this all together all the time. It really, really helped me. And what was the other question?
That was it, how it kind of relates to what you do. So thank you. And then Kimberly, why don't we go ahead and go with you next?
Well, thank you, Mark, for bringing us all together. This is an incredible group. I'm honored to be here on your show and with all of these other amazing hosts as well, because I believe if you're not being seen as an entrepreneur, you're being overlooked. If you're not being heard, your message, which is so important, is not getting out there. And if you're not regularly and consistently getting it out on stages of one form or another, then it's not going to have that amazing contribution you want it to have before you leave this planet. So I am all for giving people a stage. In fact, I say that if you give another person a stage and the opportunity to speak and share their message to the world, you go straight to heaven. It's true. I looked it up. So it's a great opportunity to be able to help other people get the word out. And I absolutely love that. I'm very passionate about it. In fact, I lost my voice because I was in New Orleans on a live in-person stage at the Entrepreneur Speaker Retreat for the last 4 days, teaching 40 speakers all about how to get on stages and how to maximize their efforts there. So if you're looking to get on stages, whether it's in person, whether it's web summits, or whether it's podcasts, just get on the stage. And if somebody hands you a mic, you say yes.
Absolutely. Well, I absolutely love New Orleans. We ran Summit Fest live in New Orleans for about 3 years. It's still one of my favorite cities, and I absolutely can understand why you might be a little hoarse after teaching, and maybe Bourbon Street as well. But thank you so much for being here with us, Kimberly. Dr. Krista, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about yourself and why you love summits and how that kind of relates to what you're doing.
Hey, everybody. Dr. Krista Burns here, founder of the American Posture Institute. At the American Posture Institute, we help healthcare providers implement postural correction systems to help their patients live healthier. Now, the reason I love summits, I'm going to dive into all the endless opportunities that I've gotten from summits, but I love very much that I get to learn, I get to be a participant and stay in the know of what's going current within the healthcare industry. And of course, sharing that with my audience. The current summit that I'm running right now is the Virtual Neurology Summit. I'm also the host of the International Posture Symposium, the Virtual Pediatric Summit, and Virtual Ergonomics Summit. And thanks to the Summit podcast and to all of Dr. Mark's teaching, I've been able to stay up to date of what's going on in the Summit world. And I love it. It's so much fun to implement new strategies and solutions for ongoing success with summits.
Well, thank you, Dr. Krista. We know you are a rock star. I should have mentioned too, Dr. Krista has done over 1,000 summit interviews. And that was like, I think probably last year we counted that. So it's well over 1,000 at this point. I'm just so grateful for each of you being here. I want to dive into some of the topics here. We have, again, as you can all see, we have a variety of different experts in different niches and industries. So I think we can get some really great insights from virtual summits or about virtual summits, or even, why to even host a virtual summit from these different perspectives. I also just want to say, since we are live right now in our community, if you're watching this in the Virtual Summit Strategies Facebook group, I've got it open over here. Feel free, if you've got a question for anyone on this panel, feel free to throw it in that chat, and I might just pull you up and ask that question to the group. So let's jump in with this. Also, I will say, if you're watching this on, if you're listening to this on the podcast, if you're watching this on the YouTube podcast, or if you've got this open or watching the replay inside of the community, we're going to have some cool things from each of our guests here where you can find them, some cool things that they've got going on. So we'll be putting those links into the show notes, into the comments, and into the YouTube channel as well. So I just wanted to mention that additionally. And we'll talk more about that at the end. So let's jump in. Dr. Krista, let's go ahead and go with you first. I'd love for you to kind of ask back or tell us a little bit about, how long have you been hosting summits? I think you're one of the summit hosts that I know have been hosting summits for quite a long time. And how often do you host those?
Yeah, I've been in the summit space for nearly a decade now. Now, I have been doing this to healthcare providers for 8+ years, and I love summits. Now, what's interesting about our strategy is we do summits annually, and we do about 4 to 5 summits per year, one of which is a live virtual event. So the classic pre-recorded plus doing one live virtual event. I cannot recommend summits enough. There's a reason I've been doing it for about 10 years now. So stay tuned for learning some best strategies.
And really cool thing too with that, we just got done doing, I got the honor of emceeing your one-day live summit, which Dr. Krista used to move her audience into her higher ticket program, which was a really amazing opportunity. We had a lot of fun. So if you're thinking of, whether it's a pre-recorded summit or a live summit, there's benefits, there's challenges and benefits to all of them. And Dr. Krista has actually done every type of virtual summit that I know of, everything from the live to the pre-recorded to a multi-day to a one-day to a summit series. You name it, the micro summit, she's done essentially every one of those. So that's really cool. Thank you with that, Dr. Chris. Let's go over to Michael. Michael, what's one of the biggest, now I know we get some insights from you here. You teach summits. You have, people going every year through your summit program, in person and virtual trainings. What's one of the biggest or most common mistakes that you see summit hosts make as they're going about creating their summits?
Yeah, and it's a huge one, Mark, but I think the biggest challenge that they face is they end up doing a summit and then they feel like it wasn't really successful. And I think one of the challenges is they didn't know what their real objective was in the beginning. For me, it's all about what is your objective, because a summit could be used to list, to make money, to fill a program. What is your objective? And if you don't start knowing that, because each of those elements shifts how you do the summit. And I think that's the biggest mistake that summit hosts make, quite honestly.
Oh, that is such a good point right there. I always say, start with the end in mind, right? If you don't start with the end in mind, and I think, your experience and your skill shows there in the sense of most people think a summit's a summit, right? There's different reasons for hosting a summit. I mean, as you've just stated, there's a variety of different reasons, and the skill set after you get through the first summit. Probably the first summit is the first summit, right? We all have to get through the first summit, but after that, the skill set of what direction you take does change. Could you give us one example as a follow-up to that? Like, what's one example of like a different objective and maybe of two objectives and how they would change how you would end up setting up that virtual summit?
Yeah, absolutely. So one, I've seen people do summits to actually grow their authority. Now, while a lot of the other stuff will happen naturally, like, yes, you'll grow your list and yes, you'll, make a little money on it. But if authority is your objective, then you really want to go after the biggest name you can get, because their authority rubs off on you. And so that changes how you're going to, approach the summit. And when you're going for those big guests, they may say, yeah, I'll be in your summit, but I'm not going to email or promote, which is fine if all you want is authority. But if you're doing list building, you need to get people with big lists who are willing to promote. So it changes everything. Just that one little shift.
That is such a good point there. Actually, that's probably one of the best examples you can use. Authority, which is perfectly great for that. I know Dr. Krista's had some examples of being asked, and she'll probably expand on this a little bit later, being asked to speak on some of the biggest stages because she was seen with some of those authority people on her summits, but they're not probably going to be promoting the summit. Great example there, Michael. Thank you so much for that. Kimberly, question for you. Tell us a little bit more about the importance of stages. I know you are, one of the experts in this field, getting stages. You got the Speaker Playhouse, which is an amazing name. I love that. So tell us of the importance of stages and how a virtual summit can play into this or benefit with that.
Thanks, Mark. I started doing virtual summits a little bit after Krista. I actually started in 2018, which I thought was a claim to fame because it was before COVID when people didn't know how to spell Zoom. And I was like, yes, I've already been in this world. I did not know that I had been superseded by somebody who'd been there 8 years before that. So congratulations, that's amazing. But yes, if the first summit that I did was kind of a train wreck, and that happens sometimes, right? You make mistakes in one place or another, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And if you have somebody leading you by the hand who's been there before, you can be a lot more successful with it. As far as being a speaker on a summit, one of the things I recommend is try to do it as live as possible because you want to interact with the audience. Podcasts are great for recorded opportunities and they stay around forever. And that's wonderful. I get people who call me up and they're like, wow, Kimberly, I've seen you on so many podcasts, and they're talking about podcasts I did 2 years ago. People don't really talk about the summits 2 years ago or 4 years ago, right? They talk about the podcast. The summits are great for talking about what you're doing right now, happening this coming, month, this coming week, because it's sort of energetically happening right now. So I encourage you to jump on to the live summits as much as possible because you get a chance to interact with the audience and have a call to action that's more immediate than with a podcast. So the way I would recommend that people leverage both of those is to use an evergreen offer at the end of a podcast, but use a happening now offer at the end of a summit that you can call them to take action on something that's happening this week, this month, this quarter.
That is an incredible insight right there. I love that. And there are different aspects. And you mentioned how like with a virtual summit, it's like real time, what's happening now. That's one of the things I love about virtual summits is, we can read a book, we can get access to maybe like some other information, but it may, a year from now, 2 years from now, that information may be outdated. With the summit, you're getting what's happening right now. I actually like to say it's almost like reading 30 books in a weekend, right? Of what's happening right now, real time. Now, kind of a follow-up question to that, stages and speaking opportunity gives you a lot of opportunities and benefits. Summits are one of those ways of having stages. You just kind of touched on the different type of kind of offer maybe to leave on that summit versus like a podcast. Can you kind of expand for a summit? If you're a speaker on a summit, what's maybe an example of a good offer or a good, call to action or a free gift versus something that they should steer clear of?
Awesome question. So yes, I do recommend that if you are able to make an offer, that means you're able to sell on a summit, and not every summit can you. Most summits, you're just able to drop a free offer. If you're able to sell, you can allude to bringing people to a program that's upcoming. But when you drop your offer, the things that get grabbed the most, because there's 30 experts all dropping 30 different things, right? You want yours to be sure that it gets some level of attention. So one of the things, the types of gifts that do very well in my experience, and I've put on over 70 summits at this point for myself and my clients, and I've seen what gets grabbed and what doesn't. This is strictly my opinion from my own views, but what works really well are worksheets, checklists, templates, journals. Any sort of quiz works really, really well. What does not work well is your 395-page ebook. Nobody is falling asleep at night saying, gee, if only I had another ebook, all of my problems would be solved. So make it nice and tight, digestible, something that they can grab really quick. And then don't stress too much over about the content of it. Give them a little taste and lead them to the next natural step with you. Now that can be contained within something as small as a single page PDF. So don't go overboard on what it is. Another little tip is put a number in the title. So it is 7 ways or 6 tips or 5 pillars or anything that gives you a number, because our brains want to know how much and how long. So if it's 3 weeks to blah, 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 or 7 pillars to blah, 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 or 365 days to blah, 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 you're going to have a winning downloadable.
Oh, that's such great information there, Kimberly. Thank you so much for that. Definitely making sure I've got some numbers in my freebies now moving forward. Tina, I have a question for you. Now, I know when it comes to entrepreneurship and the aspects of what you've been doing, you've helped entrepreneurs in a variety of different ways. And one of the ways that I've seen you recently and in the past really help entrepreneurs kind of make money and get themselves out there with authority is through courses. So I actually have a question, and I know that we're going to expand a little bit more into the coaching hub. But before we get into that, I'd love to actually think about or have you expand on how can a summit actually help with a course or help either create a course or launch a course? Because I know a lot of summit hosts out there are just getting started. They don't even have a course to sell or to move forward with. So what's something that they should be considering when they're doing a summit and how that relates to their courses?
Very good question. So the way I teach it to my students is any way to launch or sell the course before they create it. So if there's any summit hosts out there who are thinking of monetizing, making money with their summit, sell the course before you create it, because the good thing is if nobody buys, you don't need to create it. And it takes some time to create a course, right? So you don't want to waste lots of time, energy, resources in building a product nobody wants to buy anyway, right? And I want to jump here on, someone said earlier about sell what's relevant right now, or you can twist it like, oh, first case study round or special offer, special course specifically for participants from this summit, things like that. Position it in a way that it is a now offer, right? And also, I think it's very important to consider the price point. So what kind of price point are you selling? According to this, you would need to figure out your funnel as well, right? So anything what's below 2K is considered as low ticket. Everything what's above 2K is considered as high ticket. Once you are offering high ticket, you would need to put FaceTime and book calls through that funnel, right? So that's then your only focus. However, if you don't want to do high ticket, you can go sell a course, 1,500, 2 grand, 1 grand, whatever it is, according to the transformation, right? You can sell it in the email, in your funnel, in your chats. But what I really think would really, really, really drive the conversion to the roof is if you get into Messenger. If you have a team or if you do it yourself, it doesn't matter, but people like this personal touch to chat with them, right? Really, it increases. I close deals all the time on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger, right? People like to ask questions. There's something in their mind what they weren't able to ask. There's some objection you can handle in the chat, and it works really, really well for us.
And I want to dive even deeper into that. That is incredible, Messenger. I haven't even actually thought about doing that with my summit recently. So that's a really great insight. Now, I want to dig even deeper with the selling of the course. Let's say I'm a summit host or our summit hosts that are tuning in right now. They're like, okay, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to launch the course that I haven't created yet, thanks to Tina's advice. Is there any kind of strategy or any advice you'd give them from the summit to the course, like maybe positioning it, or how would you even sell it coming off of the summit? Are you selling it in the summit, after the summit, both? Kind of give us some insights into that.
Right. So again, like Michael said, you gotta know the end result of your summit, right? What is it? Do you want to make money? Do you want to fill the program or authority or emails? So right after sign up, when people sign up to attend your summit, you can have a one-time offer. Usually it's then the ticket, right, to get lifetime access to all the speaker video recordings or something like that. But you can also do like a one-time offer for the course. Okay, so if you buy right now, then you get 50% off or whatever you want to give. That would be one option. Another option would be in the packages. So after the summit or below each video, you have options for people to upgrade to a certain package. Then you can package it up with, for example, all the video recordings from the summit plus the beta round, which you're about to launch. And then, you can think of it must be an irresistible offer, because if people didn't take the one-time offer right there and then for already 50% off or whatever, the next offer needs to be very irresistible as well, so that people still have the time to be nurtured by you, still that you still have time to create like a trust factor in each video, right? 35 speakers, 10 speakers, doesn't matter, right? People on average, they say need 7 hours of consumed content before they buy from you. So if you have 35 speakers, that's easy. But then your offer needs to be on point. And yeah, if you present it packaged up with something really decent next to the just, lifetime deal for the videos and things like that, that can go really, really well. But again, keep in mind the price point for what it is. Do you offer high ticket or do you offer low ticket? And I did both in my summit because the summit was finished and I wasn't satisfied. I was like, there's something I can do, right? I was thinking for about a week and then I just launched a high ticket offer, sent an email, booked heaps of calls and wrapped up multiple 5 figures just after the summit, just from that list from the summit, because I then thought, okay, that wasn't good enough. And then I wrapped up so many more signups for a new launched high ticket offer, which I hadn't created yet also.
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your virtual summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit, literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummits.com.
Well, that's amazing. Like that money would have just been left on the table. So I love that you actually pointed out there that, it's not just the summit, it's what can you do after the summit? And there's usually more left in there that can be done with a different type of offer, as you mentioned. I also love how you pointed out, not just the all access pass with just the videos, but why not sweeten it? Why not put something a little bit more, juicy there for the ones who want it? The ones who don't will simply take the smaller priced offer. Thank you for that, Tina. All right, let's go. I'm going to mix it up a little bit so we're not just going in the same exact order. Michael, I'm going to come back to you and say, what's one of your top tips now when you're teaching summit hosts? What's one of your top tips that you tell aspiring summit hosts when getting started? What do they need to do?
Well, I'm going to kind of double whammy this one. I want to back up just slightly because the way you framed the question for me, Mark, was if they're already working with me. But I think the biggest challenge that many people do with their first summit is they don't even find somebody to work with. They don't hire somebody like you to go out and support them. And so I think that is a key factor. Get somebody who's been through it. Yes, get a mentor to teach you so that you don't make the mistakes that everybody else has made before. And trust me, there are pitfalls. So number one, find a mentor. Now, let's say now to the part of your question when you're asking, are you working with me? I would say the number one thing to keep in mind is realistic expectations. Now, I know this might sound a little weird, but I think the challenge is much like podcasting, and we've had several podcasters in the space, all are probably familiar with pod fading, which is that people just quit after their first few episodes. And I think the challenge is they go into it thinking they're going to, take the world by storm. They're going to become the next Joe Rogan. They're going to get all this money thrown at them and everything. And it just doesn't happen. And then they quit. In the summit space, you need to, and again, a mentor will help you with this. Mark is brilliant at this. He can help you to set expectations, which are things like who are the contributors to your list? How many do you have? How big are their lists? How much promotion is going to go on? So many factors that all come into play that can help you kind of estimate what results you may expect. And so I think that's really important because otherwise I've seen people do this. I'm sure you have, Mark and Kimberly and everybody else, where they do a summit. They maybe don't get the results because they had some expectations that were in alignment, and then summits don't work. And I think that summits do work, but you gotta position it all properly. I hope that helped a little bit. I know it's kind of a around the corner answer, but
well, no, it was excellent right there. I think you point out some really great insights. I mean, they don't have to come up with it on their own at this point. There's been quite a few people who've gone through the process. And again, that's one of the reasons that our podcast, the Virtual Summit podcast, actually even exists, is interviewing summit hosts who've already done it to sharing their insights, wisdoms. So that's a great point there. And with that, I also think that it's really important for them to understand that the first summit is your first time doing your summit is not going to be your best summit. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard summit hosts say, if I would have just stopped on my first summit, I would have never gotten the benefits that I've gotten from virtual summits, which come from summit 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever it might be. Right.
Yeah. My friend Ocean Robbins, who many of you in this space probably even know, Ocean runs the Food Revolution Network, and his summit, the last one he did, 360,000 opt-ins, brought in over $2.5 million, one summit. But guess what? He didn't start there. He grew to that. That's his business model. And so don't go in with that expectation that you're going to do that. So learn from folks like Mark and Kimberly and others in the space to really build towards that goal.
Well, and Michael, just to follow up with that too, while on the topic of, the first summit that's kind of like you're learning, it's the price for entry, right? You're learning
right.
how to do it. But if you ran a second summit or a third summit, is it the same level of difficulty? Is it the same level of challenge, or is there kind of some benefit to having run that first one? Kind of talk to us a little bit about how that, that work, it's still work, but what is it like on the second or third or even after?
Yeah, I love that you question that, Mark, because I think this is a key piece that a lot of people also overlook is that first summit, in addition to it being your cost of entry, you'll also find that, like, when I get asked to be in somebody's summit, one of the questions I ask is this your first summit? Because if they've done one before, that gives them a little bit more of a track record. And now I'm a little more interested in being a guest on it. So not only will things get easier because you've been through it, you kind of maybe have some systems in place and you kind of know the ropes, but you'll also find that you'll get better guests year after year. It's like, when Oprah started out with her show, she couldn't land the Dalai Lama, but over season after season, her guest clout went up to where she could get an audience with anybody. Summits work very much the same way.
That's so great. Thank you with that, Michael. Well, this kind of follows up into a question that I have for you, Dr. Krista. You've been running summits, like you said, almost a decade. You run 4 every single year. So how has summits helped you, especially with those annual summits? How have they helped you with the relationships in your industry? Or actually, let's just focus on that. How has summits helped you with the relationships in your industry?
Yeah, there's so many great reasons to do a summit. Number one is the revenue that you'll get. Number two is the leads that you're going to generate. But the most important for me, and the reason I love doing summits the most beyond everything, is the relationships that I've created. I wouldn't trade anything for it. And just a note here for anybody who's thinking about doing their first summit, or if anyone's like worried about that first summit that maybe didn't perform as well, just remember that I'm a healthcare provider. I do this in posture. So whatever industry you are in, I promise there's an audience who's eager to learn from you. So get yourself out there. And when you do your summit, that's how you start building relationships. I just wanted to give a couple of examples of things that have come for summits. Now, I want to caution you that don't go into the summit thinking that just because you're building a relationship, you're going to get something from it. I want you to go in with the mindset of you go first. I'm going to provide the best platform for these speakers. I'm going to be the best summit host. I'm going to be the most organized so that they have a great experience. And then when you do, you're going to get these extraordinary opportunities that open up. I was just recently asked to speak at a conference in Nashville directly from people who were on my summit. I was just given the opportunity of being flown out to Las Vegas, 3 nights hotel, paid speaking opportunity at the largest ergonomic conference coming up later this year with more than 1,000 live participants in person. That came because I built a relationship with somebody on my summit. And then this one is really special to me. I invited somebody to be on a summit. And then lo and behold, a year passes or so, and they actually nominated me to become Doctor of the Year. And so just because I had built a relationship with somebody and I went first, it wasn't like I did that in order to get nominated by any means. It was because I went first, added with value, gave them a great platform, did my part as a summit host, made them look great as a summit contributor, as a speaker, and then you get these opportunities that open up for you. So you go first, lead with value, no matter what you're in, you can rock your summit and definitely get help hosting that first one.
Such great insights there, Dr. Krista. And that is pretty amazing how the virtual can sometimes turn into the in-person as well, and vice versa. And those opportunities is definitely going first. I think it creates a great opportunity for us to even reach out to people, to give first, but also who are you looking to connect with and collaborate with? This is a great opportunity. I mean, we've all heard, You're not going to be able to just reach out to people and say, hey, can I pick your brain, or can I buy you a coffee? Like, you have to have a reason these days to really kind of connect with some of the influencers or micro influencers and topic experts. So great points there, Dr. Krista. Tina, let's come back to you here. We've all hosted summits, and every single summit, I believe, has challenges. I say, especially when it comes to tech, no matter how much you prepare, how far in advance you prepare, there will always be some challenge that comes up on your summit, no matter how many summits you run. So with that being said, Tina, what's one challenge that you needed to overcome when you were creating or hosting one of your recent summits?
That's a very good question. There's some challenges. Which one am I going to pick? Speed were my challenge. You are people, you're dealing with a lot of different timetables, like people are busy, people their schedules. So that wasn't the biggest challenge, to find the people and to, make them say, yes, I'm interested in speaking on your summit. But I think, again, it depends on if it's live or not. I did both. My first one was live. The other one was recorded and then live interviews, like panels like this. So the first one, when I did it live, the challenge was speakers drop off last minute, and then you're there. Who's going to fill the spot, right? Like, damn it, where am I going to get this person from in an hour? So have backups just in case someone drops off. I did not have that. And I mean, nobody really, thought, oh my God, there is one speaker less on the timetable. It's not that. Nobody really actually cares so much, I guess. Nobody gave any bad feedback or anything like that, but still would recommend to have like some backups available, and then also let people know, right, just in case we have someone who gets sick or whatever. That girl actually got sick and it wasn't her fault and things like that, but it wasn't cool. So that was one challenge. Do you want me to share that other one as well, when the guy pitched? Do you remember that? Okay, so we had the rule, obviously nobody pitches their products, and you can drop a freebie, you can provide a gift and things like that. But one of the speakers completely ignored that and started pitching. And I was like, my heart started beating, like, oh my God, what is he doing? And then I was trying to message him on Facebook. I'm like, can you stop it? Like, can you wrap this up? Otherwise I'll need to cut this off here and things like that. And he didn't stop it. So, but he was the last speaker. The talk was finished. And then I just like cut it off and wrote it off as like tech issue. Audience, didn't care. They got their value out of it. But I wasn't happy about that, because on stuff, previously, and you think everyone is at the same page, you make it very clear. Everyone says, yeah, rules understood, things like that. But it really pissed me off. So that's what happens when it's live, right? When you record it, you can just cut it out and forget about it. But that's what happened live. That was one thing. Yeah.
Those are great insights right there. And I do remember you telling me about that. And I mean, that's why I get really nervous when we're doing our live events, because one, especially with tech, that creates a whole nother aspect. I always say have backups on backups when you're doing a live virtual event. But also, kind of back to your the first challenge that you said, it is very important to either have backup speakers or have a backup presentation that you can give. I know, Tina, that's one of the things we've chatted about, is like, okay, next time I definitely would have like just a backup presentation or something that I could roll into, which I think is a great example there. And man, that is challenging. I don't know what I would have done if I have a speaker just starting to go into a full-on pitch. But let me put it like this, Tina, is that person getting asked back to any collaboration with you ever in the future?
Of course not. No.
Of course not. So for those of you listening to this, don't ruin those opportunities, because if he would have crushed it on your summit, would he have had more opportunities in the future? Of course.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Tina. That's some great examples there. Kimberly, let's come back to you. I'd love to kind of staying in the speaker aspect of this. Like, how can speakers get more out of participating on a summit? We know, I get asked all the time, like, hey, Mark, do you know any summits coming up? How can I speak on your summits, or how can I get access to other summits? But I don't think it's about the access to more summits. I think people are missing out on opportunities on the summits they're speaking on. What are maybe an example or two, or just some things speakers could be thinking about when they are speaking on a summit to get more out of participating?
That's a great question. And I love all of the insights. I hope you all are taking notes. I've already taken several pages of notes while we were listening to the other speakers today, because there's so much insight from these people who are sharing with you the golden gems that they've learned from, like going through the brick wall. You let somebody else go through the brick wall first and they get a little bloodied, but you can follow them through and make a more clean escape. So I hope you all are taking some really, really good notes. Tina's comments were outstanding. So from a speaker perspective, there's two things I would recommend. First, make sure that if you're live, if you have the good fortune to be live, make sure that you follow speaker etiquette, right? Speaker etiquette is you will promote the fact that you're right? You're going to share it with your audience. You will show up live for your live talk, and you will follow the rules of the stage. Just like when you went to your friend's house for a sleepover, you had to follow their house rules. You're in somebody else's house. You need to follow their rules. All right. So make sure that you're using speaker etiquette and you're following the rules. But if you're fortunate enough to do a live talk, then I would highly encourage you to engage your virtual audience. Put a 1 in the chat or 1 in the comments right now, if you understand what I mean. Like, if you are able to really, really engage your audience and see what they're saying back to you, then you can really interact with them. If they get a chance to participate, they're more likely to click on your link at the end. They're more likely to take advantage of your offer because you're making it about them, not about you. And P.S., it's not about you. It's about sharing what you know with other folks so they can do better in their worlds. So have an opportunity to engage the virtual audience while you're live. But then after you go live, follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up, right? That is where you are actually going to nurture them into a sale. They've grabbed your freebie. That's fantastic. But now you have to have a next natural step for them to take in the follow-up series to nurture them along. Now, a lot of people just want to get on stages and share their message with the world, and that's great. But if you do not have a path for them to follow where they can naturally step forward in their journey to purchase with you, you're going to lose a lot of the opportunity. So a great way to get more out of participating in a summit is to have some sort of follow-up that you're going to do with them. If you give a freebie, fantastic. Give another freebie, invite them to another thing. If you grab my freebie, it's going to say, great, that just went to your email. Here's 2 more things that you can do to engage with me right in the follow-up page, right? And then from there, there's 2 or 3 series of emails that they're going to get after that to learn a little bit more about me. Somebody else said it takes 7 touches to be able to really want to buy from you. Absolutely. Give them the opportunity to digitally, without time or money from you, be able to learn a little bit more about who you are and what you're up to. So engage the virtual audience live and make sure that you have follow-up.
I love that. I love the fact that you pointed out, like, don't just stop with the initial thing. I say we live in a binge society. So I never tell my potential customers when they've had enough of me. I've let them tell me when they've had enough. So that's a great point right there. I'm glad you pointed that out. Now, we could keep this going all day. We don't have enough time, unfortunately. There's so much more insights and information that each and every one of you has that I know our summit host could learn from, but I want to respect your time. And I know Michael and I have an interview right after this that we have to jump onto as well. So with that being said, what I'd love to do is just go back around very quickly. Any final words of wisdom for an aspiring summit host? Like, what's one thing that you would tell a summit host who's thinking about, should I do a summit or not? And then what's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you? We're just going to go right back around in that circle. We'll go Tina, Krista, Michael, and then we'll end with you, Kimberly.
Awesome. Yeah. One thing I really want to say is this summit, your first summit, is the entry ticket. The next summit, it will benefit you for the rest of your business life, whatever. I still have to this date people coming and saying, oh, I attended your summit 2 years ago. I attended that summit last year. Sometimes people don't buy immediately, but they just need some nurture time and they need time to get to know you, like, and trust you and just figure out what they want and things like that, right? So it blows my mind over and over and over again. People still are on my list, still read my emails, and then finally book a call or finally join another thing I'm doing and things like that. So there is definitely so much more to it than just that quick entry right after, right? If you look at the numbers, how many, or how many people participated or how much revenue did we make and stuff like that. But that's not it. It goes on and on and on and on for a very long time. It still goes on for me. I'm sure you guys experience the same thing. So it may seem a lot of work, but it will pay off for a very, very long time.
Excellent. Thank you, Tina. Thank you very much for those insights. Dr. Krista.
Yeah, if you're thinking about doing a summit, I just want to encourage you to take the plunge. And here's why. When it comes to expert positioning, one of the best ways to build your expert leverage is by hosting a summit. When you can put on your bio that you're the host of, you just built your credibility and authority instantly. For example, for me, I'm the host of the International Posture Symposium. You want to have a host of on your bio. In addition to that, please don't make the mistake of just being a one and done summit host. Please own this. Please do annual summits. So when you commit to doing your first summit, just know that you're already going to be booking speakers for next year. When you complete your first summit, send a follow-up email asking for a testimonial and say, would you like to join me again next year? And who can you refer to me as a new speaker for next year? So already be building out your next summit. So do it, become a summit host, and make it an annual summit.
With the Ever Summit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
Amazing. And actually, we'll go ahead and go around, and then we'll come back. Where's the best place to find you hanging out with? So go ahead, Michael.
Okay, so I would say the number one key is, like I talked about at home, know your objectives so that you start with the end game in mind. And the best way to keep in touch with me, I'm just going to give a free gift here. It is the 5 key objectives, because there are 5 different keys that I look at summits that you could produce. So I'm going to put it as my name there, podquest.net/summits, and get your free report on the 5 different key objectives and how it changes the summit, like we talked about a little earlier. So that'd be the best way to stay in touch with me. Grab that free gift and keep that in mind when you're ready to do your summit.
Thank you, Michael. Highly recommend taking advantage of that. I've been through those 5 keys, and they are very, very crucial to the success of your summit. So check those out. Thank you very much. Kimberly, let's go ahead.
Awesome. My recommendation is make it a win-win-win. I am all about the win-win-win. It has to be a win for you as the summit host. It has to be a win for the speakers, and it has to be a win for the audience. If any part of that is missing, there's something off, and you need to relook at what's speaking. So and secondly, if you're not embarrassed by your first 10 episodes, you waited too long to start a podcast or a summit, definitely keep going until it monetizes. You're getting the Oprah effect. One last thing, don't get too caught up in people's list size. It's really not about the size of your list, it's how it performs. I was often asked, do you have a list size of at least 5,000? And yes, I did, but my list outperforms at 20,000, at 30,000, and at 40,000. My list outperforms those that are at 120,000 many times over. So it's not often the list size, it's what you can do with it. So build relationships and make it happen. Cheers.
Excellent. And what's the best way they can get in touch with you, Kimberly, and or anything you'd like to share?
Kind of was hoping you would come back to me on that, but speakersplayhouse.com. It's https://www.speakers.playhouse.com. And it's a free weekly event to list. Either you grab the mic and you get a chance to either do a call for speakers, or you can talk about what your talk title is and what kind of stages you're looking for. That's podcasts, radio shows, TV shows, web summits, in-person stages, clubhouse stages, and all of them. Cheers.
Wow, that is amazing. Definitely take advantage of that. Sorry, I should have caught up on that, but that's New Orleans right there, Kimberly. That's New Orleans. Love it. Tina, would you like to share with everybody where's the best place they can catch you hanging out, or anything you'd like to offer?
Sure. Yeah. The best place to catch me is on Facebook. Just my name, Tina Dahmen. Add me on Facebook, send me a friend request, send me a message, join my Facebook group, whatever you want. That's where I hang out. And if you're interested in creating an online course, I have a freebie for you, a free workbook, which will guide you through how to structure your online course. It's a template, and it's a little bit of a workbook with a few exercises, what kind of content you should put into your online course. I'm going to drop the link just in the comments below, and you can get it there.
Love that. Thank you, Tina. Definitely take advantage of that when it comes to creating courses, which courses equal money right there, people. If you like money, you want to get access to that. Thanks, Tina, for sharing that with us. Dr. Krista, would you like to let everybody know where you're hanging out with? Best way to get in touch?
Yeah, if you're a healthcare provider, check us out at AmericanPostureInstitute.com. And if you're in any other industry, what I want you to do is say yes to your success by tuning in to everything that Dr. Mark does with the podcast. Just like myself as a summit host, I'm always learning what's going on the Virtual Summit podcast, in his Facebook group, and of course, tuning into his great projects. So thanks again for having us today.
Thank you, Dr. Krista. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Tina. And thank you, Michael, so much. And thank you to all of our amazing listeners at the Virtual Summit podcast. I am Dr. Mark T. Wade, your host here now for 3 years, over 100,000 downloads. We are loving it. And we've got big things ahead. We actually are going to be making some pretty cool announcements coming up. Also, if you have not checked out Virtual Summit software, you can check that out at virtualsummits.com. It is the quickest and easiest way to host a virtual summit. We've been releasing new feature after new feature this year. Definitely check it out. Again, thanks for tuning in to us today on our special 3-year anniversary with these amazing summit hosts. And we appreciate each and every one of you who've listened in over the last couple of years. We hope you'll stay tuned for the next ones. So thank you and take care. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Now, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis, because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started, because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.